ahead and hit it. We'll tell you in a second.
You ready?
Stop.
Yep.
All right, Tucker, we're live.
All right, I will call the meeting to order then. Minutes to approve.
Move them.
Second, Penny.
Any discussion on the minutes? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Those are carried. There are no appointments. Janine has no updates. Larry submitted his report. We all have it. I guess that brings us to Gary.
Hey, Tucker,
Yes,
I can give you a little bit of an update on water and sewer.
please do.
The map plan will not be able to come to the legislature this month because it has to be approved by the Water and Sewer Authority, and the Water and Sewer Authority meeting is after our meeting, so you'll be seeing it coming in June. In the meantime, I think we're pretty close to proceeding with a sewer line out on Hanako Road and along Cayuga Lake. And we're also working with the College of Wells and Aurora that not only taking the sewer from Hanako Road and out that area, but also possibly being able to run water out to those people at the same time from water produced from Wells College. So that's those are things that are kind of in the works. Out in the town of Troop, we're proceeding with a short water line, and we met with the town of Troop last week, and that might be extended to about another mile, which will include about 20 houses, which about half of them have been complaining about their water for the last number of years. So we might actually be able to help solve that problem in the near future also. So we're busy and things are moving along. So hopefully we're going to be getting more pipe and infrastructure in the ground over the next year or two.
Sounds good. Thanks for the update.
Tucker, is Janine on it?
If she is, she can speak up. I don't know whether she is or not.
I do not show Janine on.
Okay. No
I-
problem. I'll give
I
her-
don't,
Thank you.
seeing Janine wants this here. All right, we will move on to Gary.
Hi, Tucker. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, you have my report. A couple things I just wanted to touch on the report if I could. And you'll be seeing some of this in the resolution form, but I'll just talk in generalities about them right now. We did an invitation to bid, item 6 on my administrative report. IBT 2021-22 for a masonry project at the HPO. They were open on 4/23, and you have the results there under item 6. We'll be talking about that in a resolution later on. It's PW2. As far as we did another IBT, it was sent out on 5/6. It's for hooking NICEC back up to the public safety building and nursing home. We'll be getting quotes on that, and that's to be opened on June 3rd. So we'll be getting results on that. The other thing I wanted to add is there's 2 resolutions for equipment on the agenda. Just want to mention the thought process that went into those. Money has been really tight at Cayuga County, probably always will be. That's why we try to squeeze every usable mile or hour out of our vehicles and equipment. Is why Parks accepts hand-me-down vehicles from other departments. I sent out actually Amanda sent out to you guys via email, and also has in your drive there a list of all of our vehicles and equipment. with a condition of them listed on there. The two trucks that we're talking about are on there as well. The conditions are defined as excellent is obviously in excellent shape, good is equipment in good condition for continued use. Fair as equipment should be considered for replacement, will need to be replaced if in need of a major repair, exceeding or nearly exceeding the value of the equipment itself. Or if it'll no longer pass inspection at the next interval, which is what's happened with these two trucks. Or if there's an unsafe condition of some other type, those are all, they would be considered fair, but obviously it goes to poor when it's unsafe or it won't pass inspection. Equipment should be replaced as soon as possible. And that's where we're at with the two trucks mentioned in PW1 and PW5 below. Anyway, that's my report. I wanted to talk about how we arrived at doing those resolutions. And with that, I'll open it up to questions. And if there are none, we'll defer to Doug for Parks update.
Gary, I have one that kind of popped into my mind as I was looking at these truck resolutions. I know we go down this road not often, but frequently enough that it's familiar to me with the plow trucks. And are these two trucks only used for plowing?
No, they're used for plowing and they're used for general use as well. They're used to go get parts. They're used, well, we'll talk about the Parks truck first. The Parks truck's used for shuttling people around, going to, it used to be, but it hasn't been for a couple of years, this particular truck because of its condition. It used to be used to go out to the trails, go to the Sterling Nature Center, Wasco Flats and so on. Again, used to transport people around the park itself. That's why we can get so much out of these trucks. Again, that one's a 2001 and it's been strictly used pretty much for park use. Recently, it was in a motor vehicle accident a few years ago that caused some damage. They had to have the frame straightened. But it's basically, they've told us that they cannot pass it another year. So that's why we need to get a new one. On the 2008 for buildings and grounds, that's the one we've been using since 2008 as a salt truck for the downtown area. During the summer, it's also used to pick up parts and run around town when we need stuff. Occasionally used on a trip if somebody's going for training somewhere or something like that. But yeah, they're not strictly plow vehicles. They are used year round for various functions.
Well, my guess is what's doing these vehicles in sooner than they need to is we probably have salt spreaders on them, right?
Well, the 2001 did not have a salt spreader on it, but that is again a 2001. It's a 20-year-old truck. You know, inevitably in New York, yeah, it was exposed to salt. The frame is rusted. The floorboards are rusted. The front end is falling apart. So the other one was a salt truck, and the salt truck is what the salt really did that 2008 in, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, the thought that's going through my mind, and I'm not saying it's a good thought, but I don't know if we've ever looked into just, would we be further ahead hiring somebody to plow our parking lots and our trucks would last us a little longer for running around getting parts?
That actually was looked into a while back, and it was decided that it was not worthwhile for a couple of reasons. Okay. We're responding throughout the day when there's snowstorms. It's not like a mall or someplace where you can go out and just snow plow and salt and then wait and then occasionally hit the things. We're right there doing salting and snow removal all day long when it does snow. And salting when it's icy. You know, you could get a storm and it's icy right now, and by the time you call somebody to come and respond, 2 people could fall down. And that's, we did look into it from a cost perspective. It wasn't really cost effective either. But that was a few years ago. We could look into it again if you'd like.
Yeah, it was just a thought. I didn't know if it had ever been looked into. I mean, that's satisfactory for me. It probably hasn't gotten any cheaper.
Yeah, I probably.
All right. Does anybody else want to comment on Gary's report before we do his resolutions? If not, we'll do your resolutions, Gary.
Okay, the first resolution is the one I spoke about with a pickup truck. It's PW1, authorizing the purchase of a pickup truck with plow for buildings and grounds use. That will require 2/3 vote at the legislative meeting.
Okay, is there a motion for PW1?
Move it. Pinckney.
Second it, Mark.
All right. Any discussion on PW1? And you'll have to speak up. I can't see if you raise your hand. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, Gary.
Okay, PW2 is fixing a day and notice of public hearing pursuant to New York General Municipal Law number 6D to make appropriations from the Buildings Repair Reserve. That's what for May, what we want to do, or what I'm asking you to do, is approve a public hearing for next month. And that's when we'd also present a resolution to authorize expenditure from the Buildings Reserve account for that repair of the historic post office I spoke about earlier.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move it, Vitale.
Second, discussion, Pinckney.
Any discussion on PW2?
So Gary, is there I mean, do you have some surplus left from in any of those funds now, or is this all something new?
Well, that fund is, hang on, let me grab the resolution here real quick. Right now, there's $591,000 in that, in the building repair reserve fund that we would suggest taking that $81,765 out. So it'd leave right around $500,000 in that reserve account.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I have a quick question, Tucker. Hi, Gary. Do you have a sense, this is Trish Kerr, do you have a sense of beyond this repair, are there additional capital and expenses on the horizon for this particular building coming up, say, in the next 5 years or so?
Yeah, there will be some. The roof is good. We did some work on the roof in the last few years, but the chimney's going to need some masonry repair, and there's some other masonry repairs that'll need to be done around the perimeter, the outside of the building. I don't know if there's anything big that we need to do on the inside of the building, but it's mainly masonry repairs.
All right, anybody else? Not, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed?
Oh, Harmony there.
That is carried. All right, is that it for Gary?
That's it for Gary.
All right, we will move on to Doug.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. I've got a couple items on there. You can see from the report there, we continue to do some planning for the Deauville Island Destination Playground Amphitheater projects. The pavilion's no longer being used for COVID testing. Little League is starting to run, and we're working with the Merry-Go-Round Theater to try to get them open for the summer, and the sluiceways at the park have been cleaned out. Tim's report and Jim's report are attached there, as well as the trail updates. Pertinent for Public Works, obviously, in the trail update. We're still working on getting the state the last round of information they need to complete the funding for Bridge A. That was the resolution language that we had to have approved at the last legislative cycle. That went through, and so they've accepted that, and we're waiting for confirmation of that. And then Bridge C, the Ditmar Road installation target date was next Monday, May 17th. It looks like it'll probably be the end of the week, just based on shipping timelines and some of their logistics at their production facility. And that bridge will be installed. And obviously, Soil and Water Conservation District has been vital in actually preparing that site and getting that site prepared. So we're excited to see that bridge go in. Are there any questions about parks, the Nature Center, or the Agricultural Museum before I look at the resolutions?
Anything for Doug? Not, we'll move on, Doug.
Okay. PW3 is authorizing the Parks and Trails Department to hire and fill full-time assistant park maintenance supervisor. Just a brief history. on this position. If any of you don't know, this was the position that was filled from 1999 to 2017 and has been vacant since then. We actually approved in February of last year, 2020. We did the authorization to fill and approved that position to be filled in July of last year. It was budgeted for half the year. This was one of the positions that was not filled because of the unknown effects of the pandemic at that time. So we went through the same process this year of budgeting for it for 6 months, starting in July. And it's a crucial position for the Parks Department. Right now, I've got, basically 2 bridge projects, about to start a construction project. We're hiring on all of our summer staff. And though we don't have a lot of our annual summer events, we still have continuing programming, maintenance, events going on in the pavilion, Little League, trail work going on across the county, and many things that, quite frankly, we struggle to manage all that for a good portion of the year without that position in place. So we would appreciate the help out there.
Okay. Is there a motion on PW3?
I'll move
Move
it.
Second, Peggy.
Any discussion on PW3?
Yeah, Tucker, just a quick question. Was this budgeted for this year?
Yes, it was.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That is carried. All right, PW4, Doug.
PW4 is authorizing the alteration of the Emerson Park parking fees for 2021. Considering there still are some effects from the pandemic, it has been put out as an option to not charge for parking. We basically have come up with a hybrid plan that allows us to recover some of the costs of, for example, staffing the ticket booth, which obviously provides some critical informational access to the public as they use the park, and is our gatekeeper. They provide a certain amount of public safety, understanding what's going on within the park and being able to direct traffic. So we actually had a conversation with the Emerson Foundation. They've graciously put forward a grant for $25,000 to help defray the cost of the loss of revenue and the costs associated with not charging full rate for parking. And so the hybrid plan would be threefold. The first is that we would continue to staff the ticket booth, but charge the boat launch fee, which is $8 currently. That revenue for the year covers roughly the staffing for the ticket booth. So there's an offset there. But we're obviously losing some parking revenue by saying we're not going to charge passenger cars. So that's where the Emerson Foundation, as I said, has offered to try to support some of that effort. And then that would put us at about half of our normal annual revenue, while allowing cars to come in. We've had a lot of walk-through traffic. We obviously still are experiencing a much higher volume of walkers and people using the park, obviously as a place that's large and has lots of opportunity for social distancing. So we had put that forward as a resolution to make that change for this year. It was asked previously what the average parking was in previous years, and it runs about $97,000 was the most recent year. But obviously that includes large events like the car show, the 3rd of July, and all the increased programming that we really won't see this year.
Doug, that also included a full merry-go-round too, which we're not going to have that this year either, not a full merry-go-round schedule.
Correct. Yes, thank you.
Is there a motion on PW4?
Move it by Tally.
Is there a second?
Second, Kerr.
All right, discussion.
I had a question for Doug.
Yep.
Hi, Doug. This is Trish.
Hey, Trish.
I appreciate you bringing this forward and bringing some options forward to offset that revenue loss. And I was curious, you mentioned the average parking is revenue is around 97,000 per year. What are we expecting from the boat launch revenue fees? And what would be the, I guess, funding gap from what we collected last year? And my last question is, can you talk a little bit about some of the ideas for increased revenues in the future? I know this is just for 2021, but I know there's some plans in the works as well for adding programming and things like that. Have you developed any ideas around that for more of a long-term plan, or is this specifically just looking at 2021?
Sure. Starting at the beginning of that, the most recent year's boat launch revenue was about $21,000. So that would offset. That is, we vary between $18,000 to $20,000 worth of payroll that's directly associated with that ticket booth. So that would be an offset of a direct cost that we have there. And then going forward, so we didn't charge last year, so last year's not a good year to compare. We didn't charge anybody, no boats, no cars, nothing. It was free entrance, and obviously we didn't staff the ticket booth. So as far as offsetting a direct cost, it does, but you're talking about $46,000 as opposed this year as the part of this proposal would lay out about $46,000 in revenue versus $97,000. But we don't know what this year would bring in. As Gary pointed out, the programming is going to be less with the merry-go-round and a lot of other places. So is it a potential loss in revenue for the parks budget for the year? Yes, absolutely. It absolutely is. I have no way of knowing what that is. And so I'm not even going to hazard a guess at that. And then your point going into the future, as we've looked at the programming plan, that was the emphasis of that plan was to offset this revenue. So this $100,000 or so, depending on the year that we get from parking revenue, that was the impetus and the direction that was given to the group that did the programming plan for us, is to replace that revenue. And their response was an increase in amount of programming, which would increase the ability of vendors to operate within the park, and vendors then feedback fees to do more programming events in the park. That would be not only good because we get more public usage of the park, but then be able to generate some revenue from other various events that come in, like ticketed events that would be on the island. And then going forward, one of their really big linchpins in increasing revenue is the inclusion of a concert facility, amphitheater, if you want to call it that, out on the island, that would generate revenue back based on ticket sales of a few larger events out of the year. So there is a long-term goal there to replace that revenue in the budget. This is more pandemic driven, although it may actually help us get to that goal. As we increase park usage, it becomes a more attractive place for vendors to come in and sell food and have some opportunities for more events in the park that maybe wouldn't have participated if we were charging for parking, as part of the theory of the programming plan that we have. Does that help?
It does help. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep, sure.
Kind of the way I'm looking at this is we lost all the money last year. We will lose money this year, but at least this is a known revenue that we can budget on and count on and reevaluate next year. Otherwise, I think it's kind of a crapshoot if we do anything else personally, but I think it's not a bad option for right now. Does anybody else have anything?
Tucker?
Paul?
Hey, Doug, so what was roughly the amount of the expenditure budgeted for the ticket booth this year?
Just the labor cost in past years has varied between $18,000 and $20,000.
So, and you guys feel that we need somebody there that much and we don't have a full slot going, but I know you're getting a lot of activity.
No, that's a great point. We are getting a lot of activity. We're actually just spinning up the schedule for it right now because of the decreased activity in the merry-go-round theater and some of the park programming. We actually are reducing those hours, so I don't expect to reach those numbers. But I guess I'm given the worst case scenario if we were fully staffed the whole time. And much to your point, at summer events when we would have 3 or 4 or 5 people or multiple entrances, like on the 3rd of July, we'd have all the staff on working. So we won't have those scenarios. So I'm just trying to give the high number, and I will be below that number just for those reasons.
Sure, no, that's right. And the third is definitely not gonna happen this year?
We don't have it.
No, yet.
Sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. No, we don't have an official position on it at this point. The county as a whole doesn't need to make a decision on it. Obviously, the CDC guidance is what we're having a challenge being able to come up to. The venues and facilities that are doing large events right now have single point of access. They're able to screen folks coming in. So we've actually sent a request out to the New York State Department of Health to see if we could even get the mass gathering permit that's required for it. We're still waiting back to hear an answer on that. So I don't have an answer, and ultimately it would be up to the body to decide if we were going to go forward.
Sure.
Okay, it's on PW4. Not all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. All right, PW5.
PW5, I think Gary outlined pretty well. I didn't have too much to add to it. It is a replacement of a late 90s pickup truck that I think we've gotten quite a few years use out of. And as Gary did delineate, these trucks are used on a daily basis. They're out on the grounds, everything from repairs and maintenance to garbage to requests about trail maintenance and things like that. So they are pretty critical. This really does need to be rotated out of our inventory and replaced with a vehicle with the same capabilities.
Is there a motion?
Move it, Pinckney.
Is there a second?
Second it, Mark. Second it, Mark.
Yeah. Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That is carried. All right, is anything else for Doug? Not, thank you, Doug.
Thank you very much.
We will move on to Mr. Soper and Highway.
Good evening, Tucker. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I just want to add to my report just a little bit because there's some updates in the last week. On our paving schedule, we're about 15 miles of completed pavement. And we'll be starting our shoulder work on June 1st. With our crews, we'll start putting shoulders on those roads that were paved. We've went through and addressed all the driveways and mailbox situations where we've raised the pavement. As far as the surplus equipment list, I do have a tentative list put together, roughly 28 pieces that we'll be able to get rid of through efficiencies, changing of equipment. And we've kept a lot of vehicles just to keep them in the past, apparently, stuff that we don't use efficiently enough. And that's about it. Does anybody have any questions on that stuff?
No?
Do you want to go into the resolutions then?
Yeah. Anything else before the resolutions?
Yeah,
Mr. Soper? Paul?
Brian, on the roadside mowing, when are you tentatively scheduled to break out to that? Into June somewhere?
Actually, we started or are looking to start this week. We had a couple little setbacks with our paving schedule that's kept us a little bit too busy to get them out, but we're going to start with the full-time guys. We'll get at least a mower out of every barn in the next week to start. Things are starting to grow fast, and it's not looking good for our temporary help. I've had 3 applicants out of the 10 positions to fill, so we're struggling to meet that goal of getting, 8 to 10 part-timers to give us a hand. So looks like we're gonna be a little short staffed, so we want to get a head start on it.
All right,
Tucker, this is Mark. I got a question, Brian.
go ahead.
Brian, this is Mark. I just was wondering, getting a lot of phone calls about the road conditions down the 2 that we talked about when I visited your office, Rockefeller and Oak Hill. Any ballpark guess on when you're going to start, paving or fixing those 2 roads?
Yes, we've started as fill-in work, working on Oak Hill. The paving schedule currently right now is we'll be paving down we started New Hope today. By the end of the week, we'll be over to Sam Adams off from Rockefeller, and then we're gonna take a break from paving in the south to prep those 2 roads, and paving will follow. So roughly, I would say 3 to 4 weeks we'll be on there doing the shim work.
All right, thank you. I noticed I travel both those roads. Oak Hill is getting to be pretty bad.
Yes, it is.
Between, there's a stretch there that's getting dangerous.
Yes,
I appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.
thank
Keep
you.
up the good work.
All right, anybody else?
I do have a question. I was going to ask it with one of the resolutions, but I'll just ask it now. Hi, Brian. This
How's
is
it going?
Trish. I was reading your resolution about the increased roadways, and it looked, and I was adding up the numbers, and it looks like we're doing almost a quarter of the county's roads in this coming year. Is that correct? Is this on par with what we would normally do in a given year? It seems like it's a lot more work that we're able to be getting done. And I was wondering if you could comment on that, as well as your staffing. You mentioned a little bit some challenges with hiring seasonal help. Will that impact this work?
Okay, so the answer is it's closer to a fifth of the roads. It's roughly 125 miles. And I do believe it's more than the county has done in the past. One of the reasons that there's more being done is the funding level was increased from the state by 32%. And last year there was a little over $1 million in rollover money to add into this year's capital funding. So it's definitely given us an opportunity to get a jump on the plan of, the intent is to try to get over this, we need to do something to all the county roads within a 5-year program to get us back up to, so we're doing preservation rather than rebuilding everything from the ground up. And staffing levels, we're surviving with what we have. Would I like to have more? Would it be nice to have all 10 part-timers? Yes, but apparently we can't give away jobs these days. So we'll make do, and we're doing a hybrid of turnkey and our crews. And with that, it's so far the plan's been working out. We're right on schedule.
Great.
Yeah,
thank
and Trish, just to comment on that, I don't know if you were here or not. Might have been right before you. I want to say like 4 years ago, Paul might remember, we had somebody come in and do a study of the county roads. And at that time, I believe we were about 8 years behind schedule of where we were supposed to be able to maintain our roads. So since then, it's been a struggle to, even if we have excess funding that rolls over, we've had a hard time spending enough of it to try and catch up. So to hear that Brian's somehow figuring out how to get more paving done in a year is good news, and hopefully we can stay on that track and catch up. And to his point on jobs, it's crazy out there. I'm not sure what's going on. We in the trades, forget it. We can't get anybody to work. We have more work than we can handle if we were fully staffed, and we can't get anybody to come to work. So it's definitely a very interesting time to try and get anything done. And if there's nothing further on the report, we'll move
Tucker.
into Yes.
Can I add something, Tucker? I just want to, the most important thing about all this is the state's given us 32% increase in our CHIPS funding and Pave New York Extreme Winter. And one of the things when we lobby for that money, and I've been doing it now 11 years, we ask for more money every year. And the most important thing that all of us, counties, towns, whoever that's getting this capital money, we need to put this money on the ground this year, because if we don't, it's going to be hard for us to go back and ask to keep, giving us more funding if we can't prove that we can actually use it. So it's really imperative that we don't have any rollover money from year to year in these capital accounts from the state.
And move on to resolutions. We'll start with PW6.
Yes, that's pretty straightforward. We had a resignation, so I just need to refill the position. That one actually is taking one of the highway supervisors and putting it back to a working foreman's position and refilling it.
Is there a motion?
Move it, Pinckney.
You second it, Mark.
All right. Any discussion on PW6?
I had a question on this one, Brian. Is there a differential in the salary between these two positions ongoing that is accounted for in your budget, or I couldn't determine exactly from the.
It will be a savings.
Anybody else? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Nobody opposed. That'll pass. PW7.
Same situation. It's a medium position that we had a resignation from that I just would like to refill.
Is there a motion?
Move it, Pinckney.
Second, Kerr.
Discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That's carried. PW8.
PW8 is the additional funding that the state is giving us, the 32% increase, basically, and how it's broke out with the new paving list.
Move it.
Second.
Any discussion?
Hey, Brian,
Yes,
so your gut feeling is, do you think there's any more coming down the pipeline?
this
And
year,
if- Yeah,
I highly doubt we'll see any more increases this year. Hopefully, with we've got some Bridge of New York and some culvert applications out. Hopefully we'll get some funding there to do some work in the next year on some bridges and pipe work. But other than that, I think this is probably the last of it that we're going to see for this year.
all right, so having said that, do you think you can fulfill everything they throw at us to get it down this year?
Yes, we'll get it done one way or another.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anybody else? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. 9.
PW9 goes right along with PW8. With taking in all this extra funds, we're going to put some of it towards equipment, which we need to really focus on. That's why I'm developing that plan that we'll see next month. The 10-wheelers are really costing us a lot of repair costs, and I'm looking to use some of that CHIPS money that's coming in from the state to offset some equipment purchases.
Their motion.
Move it.
Second. I'll second it.
Seconded,
Okay.
Kerr.
Any discussion? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. All right. PW9 is a last minute ad. And without getting
PW10.
into too much detail of the employee, I believe the way this plays out, Brian, is that this employee will be out of time, what, the 18th, I think you said?
Correct. Yes, he'll be out of time on the 18th. He's asking for a leave bank to set up for him, and we just wanted to put it through committee rather than force it through a emergency resolution.
Anyone want to make a motion on PW10?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Second, maybe.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that's carried. Anybody have anything else for Brian? Not, thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
And do you have anything else for this committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Is that a second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, thank you. See you all at the next one.
Tucker started in 5 minutes.
All right.
Thank you.
Can you hear us right now, Dan? Should be able to, yeah.
Why does this say post attendee Zoom? Did I click?
Anybody in there?
Paul, I'm just missing, it looks like I'm missing Chris, Petrus, and Timmy.
Chris Petrus won't be coming tonight.
Okay.
Doctor's appointment or Tim should be on.
Oh, that's right. I don't have to take minutes for this one. I just move the screen. That's why you love Aileen, what if, like, I cannot even imagine. I can't explain how I feel, like, I feel like my heart was just gonna, like, oh, I can't even explain it, and I fall and fall and fall, like this. Yeah, after everything we've been through, I'm just like, oh. I think she said they were talking about sending her home tomorrow. But that, well, because she can only stay 5 days as a patient for so long. Yeah. But she said that she's not sure they're gonna go home. They might try and run with the house or something. They said they'll keep the boys until at least 36 weeks. And they're in at 31 and a half. Well, 32 today, actually, but they weren't, you know what I mean? And, so they got a little time yet before any of them will even be coming home. So, and my daughter had triplets over the weekend. That's what we were talking about.
What's the weight?
4.5, 3.25, and 1.5.
Wow.
Wow.
One alien, like his little hand can't even curl around the tip of his dad's finger. And the little binky is like literally the size of his head.
Wow.
It just, and yet he's doing the best of all of them. Just like,
How many weeks? Were they?
31 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, they were trying to push it, but she'd been in the hospital, second time in the hospital, and she'd been there for about 10 days, and they were checking every day because there was some issues with the flow in his placenta. And so Saturday afternoon, she had a sonogram and they said, reverse flow, they're coming out right now. Call your husband. We're getting the team together. So they took her right into surgery. I kept saying, they're gonna have 2 different birth dates because it was taking forever. And literally, they were born at like 5 minutes to midnight. The last one they took out at like 5 of, and I was like, you could have waited 5 minutes, really. I was happy they're all the same day, but. I think it.
Yeah, they can now.
Oh, they can now? I thought we were muted, sorry.
That's okay.
Have you noticed that? What is this new thing? The file claims compliance with PDFA standards. I get that all the time. on PDFs, and I have to save them as something else. And
My
then-
PDFs have been opening up as like web PDFs.
I
It
know,
only happened today, so I found like something.
I was gonna say, I usually, so that it's.
I just
Adobe,
open it
I
and set my
hate it.
computer on the web go back to it. Because it literally only did it after I did a restart, so.
Yeah, then you have to go back in and change all your preferences.
Like it popping up like this.
Really?
Well, yeah, because I don't, unless I'm editing it, I don't really need to be. I felt, or I reached out to Jill, I think before I was, regarding how to save something in multiple documents. It's a lifesaver, so I will show you that anytime. But yeah, and you take it right out of like our shared drives and stuff. So
You might see.
I'm mad I didn't ask that a long time ago. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll show you. But I'm so mad that I didn't ask.
Right, I'm trying to think. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I'll be in tomorrow, I think. Thursday, I'll be in the morning. I have 2 appointments in the afternoon. I get my weeks mixed up now. I'll have to look on the calendar.
Well, I have virtual appearances tomorrow.
Okay.
A CLE, and then it shows an in-person one. But I don't have a name on it, so I can't do it in person.
And what about, that file? Do you need the file tomorrow?
Joe received a call right now.
Okay.
In the, like, during the last meeting,
Okay, I'll print it off.
from the mother, so.
I'll print it off before I leave town. And I need to get on Joe's, I have him do it.
Oh, did Timmy sign on yet?
No, I was just gonna say, do you want to start? No, Timmy did not sign in yet.
You give him 30 seconds. And he just,
So I wanted to change it to say if you're looking for this is from an extension.
If you really just go on this one, this voice, I have no idea. If you just go on, like.
Can I do
this
it right
one-
on his phone?
No.
Okay.
I don't even think he gets on anybody.
I don't know what his voicemail said.
Yeah, no, he doesn't get on. He doesn't get on anybody.
I still want to see all my pictures.
I'll tell him to bring his, he comes up to the office and sometimes.
so we'll go ahead and start.
Okay, I'll do a quick, oh, you can open and then I'll do a quick roll call.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Tonight's meeting.
Okay, Andy Dennison,
Yep.
Chris Petrus is not there. Paul Pinkney,
Yes,
Keith Batman,
Here.
Trish Otley, Kerr,
Here,
Tim Lattimore, and Michael Didio. I did see Mike. Mike is just muted. I see him on.
okay, well,
Okay. Okay.
all right, minutes to approve. I'll take a motion.
Here,
Andy? Do we have a second?
second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, so we'll slide that up a little bit on the screen, please.
Hey, Lace.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, for departments update for the committees. We'll start with Steve because he's not going to be in tonight. Sue, are you doing anything on his behalf or?
I mean, if anybody has any questions, his updates are pretty thorough. There is just that one resolution for the assistance for the LWRP projects.
So why don't we do that right now?
Does anybody have any questions on that? We've done it in the past. The grants, ESF pays the employees. We just reimburse them for their time out of the grant. They're not an employee, they're just an intern. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Take a motion,
I'll move it. This is Kerr.
second,
second, Didio.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, thanks. Doug, from Soil and Water, are you on?
Doug, I do not see Doug. I haven't seen
Okay.
Doug.
No, everybody's seen his report. So we'll move on from there. Come back and see if he comes in later. Normally he's here, but he may come on a little later. Is Dan on?
Yes.
Okay, Dan, we'll go to you next.
Okay, good evening.
Evening.
Excuse me. Good evening. Just a couple updates. Since my report was submitted, the New York State 4-H office has made the decision that 4-H will not be, statewide will not be participating in the New York State Fair because of the restrictions that the state is going to be operating the fair with, primarily around not having the buildings open and including the 4-H buildings. So that was a significant logistical hurdle that was going to be hard to overcome. But we are moving ahead with planning our own in-person county 4-H youth fair for the end of July to give the kids an opportunity to demonstrate what they've learned with their projects over the past, well, for some of them over the past 2 years. And also just wanted to mention that we are working with the county health department and extension administration on a new partnership at the federal level between the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and USDA to utilize the cooperative extension system to increase vaccine education and rates in rural communities.
Any questions for Dan?
I just had one. That was okay. Hi, Dan. This is Trish. I was glad to see that point about partnering with the health department on that rural outreach. It sounds like that's something that's kind of newer or being piloted in limited areas. Is that correct? And I guess my second question is, has that work started, and have you looked at some strategies for outreach in our rural areas for the county?
So Trish, this is a brand new project. This is coming out of the need to do more of this work because of COVID-19. And the money that CDC is providing was split up equally among all the land grant universities in the country. So here in New York, we're actually only one of 2 counties that will be participating, largely because even when you take several $100 million and you split it up over 100 ways, there's not necessarily a lot for each institution. So we just submitted the application last week. So the funding hasn't arrived and we haven't really kicked it off, but just a little bit of a advance notice on this project.
Great. I'm excited to see it move forward.
Yep. I know we did discuss with the health department some incentives. Unfortunately, because of this being federal money, we're not going to be able to do much with that in this round.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? Keith, was that you? You're muted. Okay. All right. All right, anybody else? Thanks, Dan. Can you hear, you guys hear me?
Yep, you're welcome, Paul. Have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Karen from tourism, is she around?
I am indeed.
How are you?
I am. Good evening, everyone. Do you have the report? One thing I would like to highlight is the occupancy grid that you see on there. We have 2019, 2020, and 2021 because we know that we can't really compare to 2020 as an anomaly year. But 2021 is showing wonderful increase in occupancy already, which is great to see. Our office is very grateful for it because we're actually going to be able to do our job because hopefully we'll have enough funding to get the projects off the ground. We have a lot of projects that were postponed and tabled last year. So we're looking forward to being able to pick some of those back up and get our office fully operational again. The groups tab, I do want to highlight that as well. Part of our tasks, our objectives is to get into the group tourism industry. There isn't a lot of movement just yet with the groups because people don't really want to travel in big buses together, but there is conversations. Group tours are adapting as much as everybody else has, and there's been a new format that is being proposed by a lot of group tour operators. So we're in the loop, basically, is what I'm saying. We're attending the conferences, we're listening to the trends so that we have our foot in the door when they start moving again. The Sweet Tree Trail kicked off to great success. Jillian Sears in our office did a Facebook Live, our Cookie XL company that talked about the kickoff of the Sweet Tree Trail. It's a wonderful offer because it is outdoors, it is self-contained, you're in your own vehicle. So although things are opening up, a lot of, especially families, are still looking for a safer way to keep their kiddos involved. So that's a great tour. I do want to highlight National Travel and Tourism Week, which was last week. It is a national week where we celebrate tourism and everything that goes involved with it. We did a presentation with our tourism ambassadors where Aileen McNabb Coleman was able to join us. We were very grateful for her participation, and we gave out pins to our tourism ambassadors. Tourism ambassadors are regular Cayuga County residents who have stepped up to help tell their story about their Cayuga County, which is great content that encourages people to travel. We received a proclamation in honor of National Travel and Tourism Week, both from the county and the city that day as well. And we will, of course, continuing with the messaging from our ambassadors year round. I did want to also highlight our annual meeting. We'll be holding our annual meeting June 1st at Quarry Ridge Winery, one of the newest wineries in the county. If you guys are so inclined and are interested in joining us, please send me an email to make sure we know to expect you. And we will be giving out, every year we give out awards for tourism industry partners who have done something stellar. This year was kind of hard to pick and choose who was going to get the award because there were so many innovations that happened in the industry, but we ended up selecting what we called our Perseverance Awards. And so they have persevered through the year, they have survived and shown a lot of resiliency. So we have several awardees who will be receiving an award, and we haven't officially named them yet, so I won't let the cat out of the bag. And we will be working with the state in a marketing campaign called Roam the Empire. This is a statewide effort to try to get New Yorkers to travel within New York. And it just highlights all the beautiful things along the state. So we'll be participating in these efforts as well. So you'll see that messaging through the I think it goes on through the end of summer. Those are some highlights. Any questions?
Anyone for Karen? Trish?
Yeah, hi Karen.
Hi, Trish.
I was really excited to see your numbers. They look great for where we're at right now, even compared to a couple of years ago. It's really breath of fresh air to see that. And I was just wondering, in terms of the trends within the tourism industry, are you still seeing a lot of like regional travel or in-state travel, or are we starting to see more people kind of coming from out of state and even out of region?
We are starting to see people out of state, out of region, not so much right now. It's still very northeast, the ones that we get from out of state. What is interesting is that, based on a webinar I attended this morning, the Northeast is still one of the most hesitant sections of the state, of the country, to move about beyond their own area. The southern states seem to be moving much further than we are. I don't know the full implication of that yet, because it could mean that we will be receiving a lot more visitors than our residents will be, our citizens will be traveling out, in other words, right? So I don't really know how that translates, but it's still very regionalized at best. International travel is still not moving. So we will continue with, that's why the Roam the Empire campaign is still catering to New Yorkers to travel within New York State. Yeah. But I did want to touch, based on your question, Trish, the trend that we're seeing definitely looks like it's going to continue moving up. There seems to be a lot of optimism to continue travel, which is breaking all the trends that came from U.S. Travel Association, that they did not expect occupancy to return to normal until 2023. All the numbers initially were stating that we cannot expect to return to 2019 numbers until 2023. Now we're already in 2021, and the trend is looking like we will continue going up. Fingers crossed that that is what continues happening.
Thank you.
Anybody else for Karen? Thank you for a very nice report, uplifting.
Thank you.
Okay. Did Doug slide in here by any chance? No, guess not. All right, Tracy, are you around?
Yes, I am here. Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So you've got my report. A couple things I wanted to expand upon is that it is Economic Development Week. So we're putting a lot of content out this week. I guess May is the month of weeks, because there was a small business week and a tourism week, and and maybe that was in April, but you know, there's been a lot of weeks lately. So it's Economic Development Week, and we're doing our thing. One thing that we put out yesterday as part of Economic Development Week is a nice investor profile of Dr. Chris Cayuga up at Cayuga Winery. I can send you all a link to that video. It's on YouTube. And it's just a really nice overview of what he's doing and why he located in Cayuga County and what the benefits are to doing business here. And this is the full length video. It's about 3 minutes and 40 seconds, but we are also going to be able to take little snippets of it to do more specific outreach around quality of life, or investing in Cayuga County, or there's a little seat of testimonial in there. So we'll be able to also break it down into smaller chunks to communicate to specific audiences. Also, big news, the consolidated funding application launched. The new resource guide is out, and we are looking through that. The due dates they're doing the Empire State Development Grant Funds a little bit differently this year. They will have a July 30th deadline for applications. However, they are not going to completely close those grant funds. They are going to, potentially do 2 or 3 rounds by quarter, so that projects that might not be ready to apply in July might still have an opportunity to get funding later in the year. So that's an exciting change because that's always been a challenge to only allow businesses to apply for funding once a year, and for the timeline to be so long for that. So we're excited to see how that works, but the portal is open. The available resources are out there. A lot of the same funding that we've seen in the past, but some good opportunities in there. So we're going to be pointing some businesses that way soon. And then our round 2 applications for the DRI Small Project Grant Fund are open as well.
Any questions for Tracy? Okay.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Good night. Kelly? Is Kelly around?
And good evening, everybody. I do have a couple things that I want to add and highlight to my report. First thing is great news for us that the Summer Youth Employment Program has been fully funded in terms of the state budget, which is $45 million, which is the same amount of money that they were awarded. We were awarded last year for the state. So out of that, our allocation last year was $180,000 for Cayuga County, and I anticipate that we will also receive that allocation as well. Optimistically anticipate that. So hopefully that's the case. We're moving forward with our applications. We already have 30 summer youth applications completed and determined eligible. So we will start interviewing them, shortly so that we can keep ahead of it, because we do accept applications through June. And then the work experience typically starts the end of June or first week of July. So we do accept applications right up until the end. So that's on summer. A couple things too that we are really focusing on in workforce is all things virtual. So the Department of Labor actually has reached out to us to partner with them in creating our first virtual career fair for the 4-county region, meaning Onondaga, Cortland, Cayuga, and Oswego. So that's pretty exciting. Cayuga County has never participated in a virtual job fair, and we're working with them to provide the businesses and also some of the marketing and outreach to the job seekers. So everybody is talking about it's hard right now for businesses to find employees, and job seekers are, tough to come by. So hopefully with this virtual career fair, we're going to see some activity in terms of job placements and re-entering the workforce. So with that job fair, we're looking at 200 employers participating, slotting 100 for Onondaga County employers, and then breaking the rest up through the 3 counties that are remaining. So hopefully that we'll have a great turnout with that. We are offering some training for businesses because virtual career fairs are so new that they're going to be invited to participate in a training on how to access the platform. They get to choose an avatar actually to be part of the virtual career fair. And then what happens is if a job seeker matches what they're looking for, they then can interview them on the spot right during the virtual career fair. So it's really interesting. Definitely new for the county. So I'll have more to report, once we do that. Another virtual tool, this month is the first month that we've launched some virtual workshops. So in the past, we always offered them in person in the Career Center with employment and training staff and also the counselors through the Department of Labor. Now the Department of Labor has launched some workshops that you can sign up for online and attend them virtually. So that is also new for May and exciting because, that's something that we've seen as a loss of not being able to offer the group workshops. So now we'll be able to do that virtually at this point. So that's good. That's good news for everybody. I do want to say, we're highlighting all of these virtual events and opportunities. And I think that one of the upsides to COVID, it's forced us in workforce anyway. And I think across the board to kind of, we really had to come out of our comfort zones and learn virtual and how to do what we do without seeing people. And when we work with people, it's really hard to do that. So that being said, I hope everybody understands we haven't lost sight of the in-person quality and what it brings to the value of workforce. So in terms of equity, we're offering these services in person as well. So I'm hoping that if ever, you're asked about our career center, we are serving people in person. We're offering workshops individually in person because the virtual avenue is not for everybody. It doesn't work for everybody. In terms of mental health, I think that an in-person interaction is significantly more important than a virtual. So we are still offering these services from employment and training staff to the public and to job seekers. One of the things that we're trying to establish, and we're talking about it now and having discussions about launching an in-person career fair like we did in the past. We are still waiting for some guidance from the Department of Health if that's something that we're going to be able to do on a small scale. But we'd like to do an in-person event and tentatively looking at the end of June to be able to do that. I think it's incredibly important to the community to try to start doing some of those things. So that's definitely new and exciting and on our plates, and hopefully we'll be able to execute that. That is pretty much all I have to report. That's not in my report. If anyone has any questions for me.
Anyone, Kel? Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
Quick question if I can.
Sure.
First, I just wanted to thank you for your report, first of all, but the DOL virtual career fair is really exciting, I think. And I was curious how that will be marketed and how people can enroll to participate. Do they sign up for different time slots, or will it be like an all-day thing that people can just pop in and out of, or how will that look?
Okay. Right. So we're still coming up with a save the date. Once we have a save the date and we launch it, we will post that it'll be posted on the Department of Labor's website, and it might already be. I should check today when we are done with this call. It'll be on the Department of Labor's website. It'll be on our website, which is cayugacortlandworks.org. And we will also post it on our Facebook page. What will happen is that anybody collecting unemployment will be notified through their .gov account. So that is how they correspond with representatives from the Department of Labor and Unemployment Insurance. So they will all get notifications of that. They do have to be, and you don't have to be on unemployment to attend it. You can be unemployed, underemployed, anybody. We can attend, anybody can attend. You have to register in advance with the Department of Labor, and there's going to be a link, and they have to be registered with our career center, which I believe they can do online to register with our center and be in the one-stop system so that they can attend the job fair. At that point, once they are signed up and registered, I think they're going to receive direction in terms of how they can attend the event. There's going to be a preview day. So I believe the day before the actual career fair, they can go on and preview the list of employers that are going to be participating. And what I tell all job seekers that are going to do a job fair is research the company. This is your chance. So you can go in and research and see what you do and what openings they have. So that they're prepared when they come the next day, because they can essentially have an interview on the spot. And there are so many jobs out there, and I think that they're going to be interviewed on the spot when they do this job fair. So yeah, there's going to be some more direction coming out because it's something new the Department of Labor has never done either locally. So, but yeah, they will sign up online and get to preview the day before, and they'll have instructions. Once they've registered, they'll get some instructions of how to attend. So.
Thanks, Kelly. I look forward to seeing more, and probably help to cross promote it, because sounds like it'll be a great opportunity for people in our community to see a lot of employment opportunities at once in the region.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else on the committee? Did Doug come in by any chance? Is he not making it tonight?
I don't see him, Paul.
Okay. So what resolutions do we have left here?
Two attorney,
Oh,
go ahead.
somebody,
The first one is the fixing a day and no for public hearing on a local law authorizing 12 and 13-year-old licensed hunters to hunt with a firearm or crossbow during hunting season with the supervision of an adult licensed hunter pursuant to environmental conservation law section 11-0935.
I have a motion.
This Batman, I'll move it.
Second.
I'll second Kerr.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Trace. Terry. Wow. Tricia. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Was there an opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Second one's adopting a local law number blank for the year of 2021 to continue the room tax for 3 years after public hearing this May.
Entertain a motion.
Move it, Kerr.
Second, Batman.
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else to come before the committee tonight?
No. Motion to adjourn. Video.
Before we do that, just want to congratulate whoever had triplets.
Did what?
Hoping everybody's healthy, and I'd heard somebody talking in chambers about triplets, but congratulations. Okay, a second on the motion to adjourn.
Second.
Aye.
Trish, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Mr. Batman was
Aye.
using his hands. Can't hear him.
Isn't communication a wonderful